I was taken into the atmosphere and I saw a formation of a planet. Now, I'm not even sure in my own mind what this means because I don't know. I'm not that bright. But I saw planets being formed. Planets that were not, that will be. And in their formation, a strange light and an energy.
On 3i Atlas, I didn't contact the media. I just wrote a few papers and then it became viral.
But Avi, you are a professor, an esteemed professor at Harvard. When you speak about such matters, people listen. I mean, surely you would know that that would be picked up in the media.
I didn't expect it to be so big.
Avi Loeb.
Avi Loeb is arguably the most controversial astrophysicist in the world, but he's been a professor here at Harvard for more than 30 years. So when he says that there's a chance that an alien spaceship disguised as a comet is headed to Earth, people listen.
In July 2025, astronomers detected interstellar object 3I Atlas on a hyperbolic path through our solar system. It quickly stood out for its massive size, unusual chemical emissions, and distinctive activity. By August, observations from the W.M. Keck Observatory revealed something never before recorded in space. Atlas was emitting around 4 grams of nickel per second, but with no detectable iron. This is a serious departure from what's seen in other comets, where nickel and iron are always found together in similar amounts. Images from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's HiRISE camera, taken during its early October flyby, are expected to shed more light on its structure and jet behavior. Their release has been delayed by the US government shutdown, leaving the scientific community waiting for crucial data. Together, these chemical, optical, and physical anomalies make 3EI Atlas one of the most closely watched interstellar objects in recent history.
A new source of energy. No, it will not take 12 years, 6 years, 4 years. It shall happen in a short period.
Hello and welcome to Analysis. Christy Desfontaine is here today, as usual. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we have a very unusual topic to discuss today on Analysis. This is one of those strange and mysterious things that my dad prophesied, and until recently, that prophecy that we just saw in the beginning, where he says, I was taken into the atmosphere, that part of the prophecy never really made sense to me. I thought, Dad, that's so strange. What are you seeing? But what's interesting is on that same day, he was seeing the Jesus Revolution that we've been covering, especially connected to Charlie Kirk and the response from the youth. So that whole day in March of 2013, where he's in the blue plaid shirt, he was prophesying about this Jesus Revolution. And we're seeing that begin to come to pass.
We are.
And in the middle of doing all of that, he sees something strange in the atmosphere. And so let me tell you what you think.
Well, you know, this is just...
Or tell me what you think, sorry.
The question is, could this newly discovered interstellar object, the 3I Atlas, and the mystery of the Big E be connected? We've had people asking us, Donna, after the Esther prophecy, I think we get asked about the Big E and death to debt probably the most. But we're going to be exploring science, prophecy, and the promise of new energy for God's people today. So we're asking questions here. That's what we do on Analysis. Could this newly discovered interstellar object, 3I Atlas, and the mystery of the Big E be connected? A lot of people ask us this kind of thing, and I know you know more about this than I do, Donna, but it's something that a lot of people have been watching for years since your dad first prophesied about it.
Absolutely. And so, okay, so we saw Professor Avi Loeb, and if unless you've been under a rock, you haven't seen Avi Loeb. I mean, Avi Loeb is, I never heard of him before recently, but he's been, I think he's going on Joe Rogan actually, but he's been everywhere. And he suspects that there may be aliens, or it may be some kind of a craft, which when I heard him saying this, I've heard his arguments. And of course, just like my dad said, I don't even know in my mind what all of this means. Neither do I. So I started to look up, NASA and certain just regular kind of boring videos on it and explanations. And so the reason that it's called 3-Eye Atlas is because it's the third ever, since human beings have been able to observe the universe, interstellar object. So it's coming from outside of our solar system, our galaxy. It's coming from the Vega star system, which that used to be the North Star, now it's Polaris. But that galaxy over there, we've had now 3 different objects come from that direction into our solar system. And it's called 3-Eye because it's the third. The first one was Oumuamua, which it's named that because of where it was first observed, which was in an observatory in Hawaii. So they named it, I think, after the observatory. And Oumuamua it was very, very large, and it had some strange features that weren't normal for a comet or anything traveling through our solar system. And the most important thing is it was coming from outside. Then there was a comet coming also from there, and that was 2-Eye, and it behaved like a regular comet. And when I say that, they can usually tell what something is made of. They have different ways of doing it. If there is a tail, so when we see a comet, we see a tail behind it. That's actually ice melting very quickly. They don't even use the word melting because as it gets close to the sun, it causes like anything ice to turn immediately into a mist. So that's why you'll see when a comet is flying through space and gets close to our sun, you'll see the tail. Now, 3-Eye Atlas does not have that. Also, we saw in the beginning that there is nickel but no iron, and apparently nickel and iron are always together. And so what got my attention was not the alien stuff, because it's very difficult for me to wrap my head around that. Look, you never know. But what I did notice was that they can observe what these things are made of, and this is different. Another thing that they saw was every 7 hours it pulses. So there was kind of a rhythm to it. And this also made people believe, well, perhaps this is not natural, perhaps there's life in there and it's some kind of, machine, I don't know. But when I investigated that a little further, what the explanation so far has been, because it's shaped kind of long. It's 12 miles, I believe, long. It's really big. And it's moving like this through space. So the reason you would see a pulse is because the reflection of the sun on it as it's moving toward us. And so if it's long, when it goes on its side, you see the long side reflecting. And then when it moves toward you, you see the narrow side reflecting. So every 7 hours it would do that. And so it seems to me, especially if this is connected to what my dad was seeing about a new energy, that there perhaps could be something discovered in our observing of this 3-Eye Atlas that could reveal something that could be connected to a new energy source. But the reason that I think that is because of what Dad prophesied. And so, I've always been interested in the alien topic, but I don't believe that our experience with aliens on Earth has. I think it's much more of a spiritual thing. I don't think that there are beings coming from other planets. I did do on Codebreakers Live a study on something I had discovered because of the occult and people like Aleister Crowley doing ritualistic things that are opening portals. And he did this, Aleister Crowley, who was an occultist and a Satanist, in the early 1900s in New York City. He did some kind of ritual and opened a portal, according to him, and a little gray being appeared from the portal, and he drew a picture of it. And the picture that he drew looked like a typical little gray alien that after that people began to report seeing. You don't hear anything about people seeing little gray aliens before that. So I realized this is something demonic, of course. And I so far feel that any experiences that people might be having with so-called aliens, it's really, I believe, it's a spiritual thing. These beings are not coming from space and landing in spaceships. I believe, so far, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, that they are interdimensional and this is much more spiritual. And that's not shocking in this day and age, in this time that we're in, that those kind of things would be revealed. You know, Dad prophesied a lot about that. Things that intelligence agencies and military intelligence, as well as technology, that is kept from us. So I'm not really too concerned about aliens connected to this, but I do feel, especially since Dad, at the same time he's prophesying a Jesus revolution, is taken into the atmosphere and sees what he believes to be the formation of a planet. But he's very clear that he does not understand what he's seeing. And so that's what got my attention. When at the same time we're seeing the Jesus revolution, something appears in our skies just as he saw. And he very clearly said about a new energy when he prophesied that. And so this is something that I've been, again, watching for years, from before my dad ever got sick even, because he prophesied this in 2013. It always was a strange moment in that day of prophecy. And I'd love to hear what you think, Christy.
You know, Donna, there's so much to this, and I think the first thing is to actually hear what it is that God showed your dad, for us to be able to look into this. So if you're good with it, I think we should jump straight in.
Good
because
idea.
Again, we know about this man.
Sure.
Your dad was not a tech guy. He was a musician. This was not something he was spending his time researching. He was not into politics. He was not into science. This was a musician who was obsessed with scripture, and, you know, leave him alone for a couple of minutes and he was either going to be writing towards a book or a song or playing Flight of the Bumblebee on the piano. Like, that's what we're talking about here. So this was not some guy who went off, you know, passionate about science. This is really something God showed him. So I think let's go to that prophecy now and hear it from March 3rd of 2006 from Loveland, Colorado.
Do not say, we shall smell the fumes of fuel and oil from the Middle East and from our own soil. Ha! Spirit of God said, the big E. I told you, it is not only ethanol, but God said something very unusual that was buried decades ago with Einstein shall come to pass and shall be recovered and discovered, and America shall be on the forefront. Science is being energized, accelerated, because of the prophets that are prophesying. The economy of this nation is not reliant upon the oil of the Middle East. Therefore, hear the prophet of the Lord tonight, a new source of energy. No, it will not take 12 years, 6 years, 4 years. It shall happen in a short period.
2006.
So that was all the way back in 2006 in Loveland, Colorado. So what's interesting here is, again, we are in a situation right now where energy is an issue. we have so much technology. We have quantum computers and AI and all of these things that require an enormous amount of energy in order to just function. And so that is a need. At the same time, the debt is insane. So again, you see him hitting at topics while he's prophesying about the Big E. Now, the Big E, for anybody who doesn't know, he prophesied for years and years about a new energy source. As the years passed, he saw more about it, multiple energy sources. But here we see he's in Loveland, Colorado. It's 2006. And, the Big E, everybody had been saying, oh, ethanol. And ethanol had come out and they thought, and he said, it's not just that. There's more to it. And so he's seeing a new source of energy also coming quickly. Now, the thing about 3I Atlas as well is that our ability to observe it depends upon where it's moving in space and what's in the way. So we were able to see it, I think they first saw it in July, much earlier this year, and then again in September, and then in the beginning of October, around then. They've been able to see its path and also kind of predict its path, but there's something unusual with it. And again, I don't know too much of the specifics without actually being able to explain it as a scientist does. But for what we're doing here today, it's an unusual thing happening in the atmosphere at the same time that we're in debt and we need new energy. And he's seeing it happening quickly. So we will be able to, on, I believe it's October 29th or 30th, see it again because of wherever it is in space. So things will be in the way, we can't look at it, and then it's going to emerge again as it's moving through our solar system. And they are able to read certain things, like for instance, they can see the whether it's made of iron and nickel based on colors that they can observe off of it. And again, I don't know how that works. And if anybody's interested, you can go and search for videos on 3I Atlas if you don't know about this, because there are tons of videos all over the internet right now, people explaining it. And so we're just, kind of anticipating what will happen next week when we can observe it again. Then it'll disappear again, then we can see it again in December. And so as they're observing it, I am of the opinion at this point that they will find or discover something as we're observing this unusual, because it is coming from another galaxy, from another part of space. It took a very long, long time to get here. Hundreds of thousands of years, maybe longer. And so I find it hard to believe that there are aliens in there that have been traveling through space for that long to get to us. But I do think that, that's a very long time to be. Is there a civilization in general? It doesn't make sense to me. So I could be wrong. Again, just like my dad, my understanding of this stuff is very limited because I'm also not that bright, especially when it comes to science. But
No
I
scientists
do know
here.
these prophecies and I do understand the basics of this. And what we do know is he saw a new energy, which we do need.
Yes.
So people are looking for sources and he saw multiple sources. I also found it interesting what he said about Einstein. Things that were buried.
Yes.
And what we do know is that there have been many discoveries made in connection to fuel and things like that have been buried. Someone will discover something or will invent something, and then they'll come in and buy the idea and then bury it because they're making too much money off of oil. Now, this is, it's a little conspiratorial, but it is basically, I've seen enough examples of it over the years to know that that's probably what's been going on. And so it's interesting that things that were buried and new discoveries will bring about in a very short period of time new ways of having and utilizing energy. And so we do want to have another look at that prophecy from, it's March 2nd of 2013.
Yes.
But is there anything you want to add to that?
You know, all I wanted to say is that for everybody watching, the partners, we're going to play the longer version of the prophecy that we just played for you. We're going to have the full prophecy video because there's some strange mentions of world leaders for our partner analysis today. And again, you know, what we do in partner analysis, we feel more comfortable doing than having everything out there on social media. It's like our little cave of safety. And so we're going to be doing that. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't, to join us on our partnership for that. But I think for now, Donna, let's hear again from your dad. This is the man that God was showing things to in a way that I can't even begin to comprehend. So like you were saying, let's go to that prophecy, March 2nd of 2013 from here in Camarillo, California.
For the soul of this nation is agitated. Where does our energy come from? Have I not told you? The time is coming and now is, where it shall be revealed, but how unusual shall it happen? I saw emblems. I saw 2 crowns. I saw 2 crowns, golden crowns, an investment. I saw 2 big leaves, and they were blended together. And then something unusual happened. I was taken into the atmosphere, and I saw a formation of a planet. Now, I'm not even sure in my own mind what this means, because I don't know. I'm not that bright. But I saw planets being formed, planets that were not, that will be. And in their formation, a strange light and an energy. They shall say this, there is no such thing as that planet, but it is something that is being formed at this very moment for the purpose of my people. You are that important to me, says the Lord, that I would do something that is not yet, and bring from it and fashion that which will make you and your children prosperous. Do you believe that I'm able to do it? Go, come on. Come on.
So there it is. In the very beginning of that part of the prophecy, he says, where is the new energy? Have I not told you? And then sees this, has this experience where he's taken into the atmosphere. What's interesting to me is the formation of a planet part. I'm not quite sure what to even think of that. Or I'm not sure if maybe he's observing something that he's not quite sure what he's seeing, so he's just describing it as best he can. But he did have some insight into it, so I'm not sure if that's quite right either. But he did see the 2 crowns. And what's interesting about the 2 crowns is that at the time that he prophesied that, he went to my husband, who's an artist, and asked him to draw the crowns. And he saw a reflection. I remember him asking him, and he said, draw the crown and then show a reflection of that crown in water. And so this is what my husband drew. Now, this is all the way back in 2013. He drew this for my dad. So I think Dad was trying to figure out what he had seen and maybe put it out there, have imagery for it so the code breaking could happen and people could interject. Also, what's interesting is that he sees a strange light and an energy. And the one thing that has been happening with 3i Atlas is the way that they are able to tell, okay, there's nickel but no iron, is by the light and the colors that come off of it. And so he's seeing a strange light and then an energy. And God doing something that is not yet, that will be. Now, one thing that they've been bringing up in these interviews with Avi Loeb, multiple interviews have been done, is the possibility of it breaking apart as it nears our sun. There's a strange kind of mist in the front of it. And so instead of the back like a comet, there's a mist in front of it as it gets closer to our sun. And one of the things, I think it was Glenn Beck interviewed Avi Loeb the other day, and he was asking, are we in danger? And, of something hitting us. But that's not really the concern at this point. But it is possible that it could break apart. And so perhaps in observing it, my dad didn't see anything dangerous or anything for us to be afraid of or any kind of catastrophe. So I'm really not worried about that, because I'm sure that if something was going to hit the planet and we were all going to be extinct, he probably would have seen that. So I don't think that's what's going to happen, but there is a possibility that it might break apart, or just in their observing of it. But, at this stage, we can't know, but we wanted to put that out there for everybody who watches our network and follows my dad's prophecies and does the code breaking with us, give you guys an opportunity to look at what was prophesied, especially when we observe these interesting things surrounding him seeing this. Like I said before, he kept seeing death to debt. In the prophecy that we just watched, he talks about how this will make us and our children prosperous. And he had been seeing death to debt for so long, and so many years he prophesied death to debt. And, right now that debt, well, it seemed more impossible than it does now. I think Trump's been great. And of course, Dad prophesied that Trump would be the trumpet and what he would do with the economy. So I think that all of these things coming together at the same time, and then Dad seeing the Jesus revolution at the same time, which we're beginning to see that, especially amongst the young people, it's beginning to line up into something very interesting and very unusual. And so we have another prophecy to play, and this is also from 2013, but it's December 31st. So the prophecy we just watched was in March of 2013. Dad sees this, prophesies it, and all the other things he was seeing. Has my husband draw the two crowns, because he sees the two crowns and he sees the two big leaves. Many people over the years have looked at that prophecy, and something interesting was its connection to digital currencies and something called a Merkle tree. But this seems to be much more obvious as time goes past. So now that we have this, it's 3I Atlas, only the third ever interstellar object observed coming into our, it's very, very unusual. So many things are unusual that it's worthy of note. And it's also interesting whether or not there are aliens inside of it. And so we have this prophecy from December 31st of 2013. Let's have a look at that and then we'll come back.
For I have excitement for you, says the Spirit. Though you are surrounded by fear, doom, and gloom, I have set apart certain truths for my people to prosper. And I say to you, it has now begun. They have spoken of the dinar. They have spoken of the amazing discoveries, the big E, synchrotron. I have spoken of these things that will be manifest, but yet there has been a cover upon these things. I say to you, I will release them one at a time, because this is the beginning of acceleration, says the Spirit of God.
Well, years ago, years before that, in 2006, he said, it's not going to take 12 years or 6 years or 4 years. It's just going to quickly happen. And so as we see all of these things lining up now in such an unexpected way, we understand the acceleration that he was seeing. The synchrotron, that was another thing that he prophesied about in connection to this light and particle acceleration. And so it all goes down to the quantum level, which I have very little understanding of, but I'm very interested in it, and I have been for many years. And so I think that's why he came to me to talk to me about some of these things when he was seeing them and prophesying them, because it was something that we had an interest in, at the quantum level, what is going on. And those who have the eyes to see, that observe those things, I believe at this time it could be very, very interesting. I mean, we might begin to see all kinds of things discovered. And if you think about, we just covered the 2027 prophecy as well, and what he saw that in 2027 there would be the healings and cures that would happen. So I'm very interested in this, because I think it's going to extend beyond, oh, that's an interesting thing we've learned. I think it's something, as we observe this object and whatever happens with it, on many levels we might see a great change for the better, which a lot of people are so focused on the negative nowadays because there's so much chaos everywhere, that God has some surprises for us. And I always say he loves surprises, doesn't he, Christy?
He does, and I think we also can look at this, and he spoke about acceleration, and that's happening both in science and in spirit. There's a beautiful scripture, Psalm 19, it speaks about the heavens declaring the glory of God, and that's something important for all of us to be aware of, that the heavens do declare the glory of God. And so as the heavens are unfolding this new energy, God is unfolding new energy in his people. I don't know about you, but I could certainly do with some of that. I am weary, I am tired. I could definitely do with some new, just invigorating energy, the life of Christ being in me. And so I'm encouraging you today, for those of you that need that, when you sow into this ministry, you are aligning with what God is doing on the earth and in the heavens. And so this is calling out to you, saying, partner with us, sow into this, and believe for acceleration in your own life. Every Tuesday night, we do a live prayer meeting from 5 to 6 Pacific time, and we're hearing beautiful testimonies and miracles of what God is doing, and we get together from all over the world and we pray. And I'm seeing an acceleration in people not only speaking about the needs that they have, but sharing with one another, and we're bearing one another's burdens together. And so as the heavens declare the glory of God, we're seeing all of this unfolding in the science realm. We're trusting God that as the heavens unfold this new glory, God is unfolding a new energy in his people. I'm not talking about weird oogie boogie energy. I'm talking about actual substance where we're energized to do the will of God. We're energized to live the lives that God has called us to live. We're energized to be the warriors of the new millennium, because it is very easy to get overwhelmed and tired with what's going on around us. I myself totally understand that. I've been in a space where life has felt very difficult, especially in the last couple of months, but I'm encouraging you, partner with us, join the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault, sow into this ministry, sow into what it was that God was showing Kim. And as we do that, we're believing with you that acceleration is going to come in your own life, in the lives of your families, your friends, your job, in every single area. You can click the red link below your player. You can mail your offering in. You can text to give. There's so many ways you can do that. But do it together with us and trust God. And now I'm going to read something to you. It's a transcript of a prophecy of Kim's from October 21st, 2005. And as I'm reading this, I'm encouraging you to give while I'm reading it. And then we're going to come back to Donna for some commentary on this. But this is October 21st, 2005 from Frederick. God said, "This is a time, and especially at the end of October, on the one day that they call Halloween, shall be a very strange occurrence that shall take place in this nation. And the people shall be afraid, and then suddenly the mourning shall be turned into dancing. Fear and trembling shall be turned into shouts of praise and admonition. The Lord has brought this to pass. No one can stop it. Beginning in the month of November, as I have predicted for a long, long time, God says, I shall bring forth a resurrection from the dead." I'm talking about resurrecting the things that have been null and void, dead and gone, that they have said shall never happen again. "I laugh at you," says the Spirit of the Lord, "for it shall come to pass that I will raise up things, and when the resurrection comes, there shall be a double anointing, double vision, double miracles, double healings, double, 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 says the Lord, double, double trouble against the powers of hell." There's double vision, double vision. I am extending your vision. I am multiplying your visions. I am multiplying your faith, double vision and double faith, a double of the miraculous. I see a multiplication sign. I am not satisfied as you are not satisfied. There is a spirit of multiplication that has been released upon this body of people, and shall swiftly go from this building out into the northwest, across to the west coast, and down to the south, and this nation shall have a multiplication. This nation has been shaken and purged. This nation has been cleansed. But watch, 2 senators will die. For I will not tolerate the corruption and this thing that is being thought about against my president. And within the leadership of this nation there is a corruption. There is a Judas and a betrayal spirit, and it shall not last. For even so you may say, why would they die? God says, enough of corruption. For it shall come to pass that America shall see the multiplication. For you shall say to the Middle East, your oil is not necessary for us anymore. There is a new form of energy that is coming to this nation, and you will pioneer it, and they will say, where did you get it? And you will say, it was beneath our feet and in the dirt. I'm going to give you a new source of energy that this nation shall multiply. Now, Danae, that is a wild, wild prophecy from Frederick in Maryland, and I'm going to obviously hand it to you. I wish I could hear your dad shouting it, even as I'm reading it. I can hear him being the one shouting these words.
I actually remember it. I remember him prophesying that. We don't have video or audio of it. If you go back as far as 2005, we don't always have footage of it because this was like pre-smartphones with cameras in them. So the only way my dad would have been filmed or recorded is if someone, let's say he was in a church or somewhere, actually took the initiative to film him. And so, but I actually do remember this. What's wild to me here is that he's seeing October and Halloween. And I just told you a little while ago that 3i Atlas is going to disappear, or it has disappeared. We can't see it. I think it's behind the sun, but we will be able to see it again October 29th or 30th. And so if that's the case, that's Halloween. That Friday is the Halloween. So Wednesday's the 29th, Thursday's the 30th, Friday's the 31st. So in that window of time, we will be able to see it again. And then it's going to disappear until December. But my dad here sees October and Halloween. A strange occurrence will take place. And so, again, here's another piece of prophecy that is now lining up with the moment we're in. He's seeing all these other things. You see what he says about the Middle East and the oil. That certainly has happened. And then beginning in the month of November, the resurrection of things and the double. And you remember he saw the 2 crowns. I'm not entirely sure what to think about that at this stage, but I think it is worthy, like I said before, it's worthy of note. So if you are someone watching right now who follows the prophecies and does the code breaking with us, I know a lot of you join us for Code Breakers Live, where we have the chat open, and we did discuss this a couple weeks ago, but this is something else to just note, okay? Double, 2 crowns, 2 big leaves, and that was 2013. Go all the way back to 2005. He sees the month of October. He sees Halloween. We know we're going to see that planet again around that time next week. So we need to be observing that and know that that issue of the double means something. We don't know yet. We're praying and asking God to reveal that to us and give us insight. And so anybody who wants to share anything, you can email us. You can comment to us on social media. Let us know. Because it's double trouble against the powers of hell. And we keep seeing that happen all through this season that we're in, is that, the enemy overplays his hand and manifests, and it causes people to turn back to God because they recognize the devil. So that happening, new energy, no reliance on the Middle East for oil, a discovery in this nation that will cause us to be prosperous, debt-free. That's very, very hopeful. And, he speaks of the nation being shaken and purged and cleansed. And that's certainly something that we are going through right now. So I would love to hear your thoughts on some of this.
Well, Danae, we talk in that prophecy in the transcript that I read, obviously speaking about freedom from oil, which is energy independence. But one of the main things that really got me here was about righteous leadership. God exposing corruption and raising praying leaders. Now, we hear about him speaking about America's destiny, a nation chosen to pioneer and prosper and spread God's light. And when I think about him speaking about the double, it instantly makes me think of Job, where he lost so much in pursuit of really righteousness, but God gave him back more than double for everything that he'd lost. Now, I'm not saying that everybody out there is a Job at all. I'm just saying it makes me think of that, where there was great loss, but then there was a double reward given. And so I think more and more of this is going to unfold. I'm a little cautious to speak about these varying things where he speaks, for instance, about the death of senators and a Judas, etc. I'm cautious to speak about that here. So I think I'm going to save that part for the partnership, which we're going to be going into next, I believe, because it seems like we've run out of time for the day. But we do know, like, we're watching the heavens and we're expecting miracles. And for those of you who are partners, I'm encouraging you, if you haven't become a partner yet, to join us, because there is definitely more we're going to be diving into in the partner section of this broadcast, because I have to be careful about some of what I say, because we don't want to get banned, because we do sometimes get banned, don't we? So we want to be able to have the safety of our own platform, where we can say whatever it is that we think. And so I'm going to save some of those thoughts for that partnership.
Absolutely. So if you are watching right now and you're saying, what partnership? We have the Prophecy Vault partnership. We started it last year. And, it's just been an incredible journey with our partners. But like Christy said, we do tend to get into trouble on social media here, which is certainly characteristic of Kim Clement and the Warriors. We always, stand with the truth, even if it is uncomfortable. So we are going to, Christy and I have a little bit longer of a discussion on this topic in our partnership. And so if you want to join, the information is on the screen right now. It's very easy to do it, and you'll be able to sort of join into that conversation that we'd rather have there. And it's not expensive, and it's totally worth it. The School of the Prophets is in there, an upgraded prophecy database where you can search, do keyword searches, which of course we have the original on our website, still there. Go to kimclement.com, houseofdestiny.org. Our prophecy database has been there for as long as my dad had the website. You can do keyword searches in there on anything, and so you can do that. But if you want to partner with us, we've upgraded that search engine in there, where everything is much more accessible. You can watch video, you can go to the original broadcast, you can read what was prophesied, you can search it. But we also have, like I said, many other things in the partnership, School of the Prophets, and these extra little conversations that Christy and I have for where we might get censored on social media, which is so ridiculous. But just, continue to observe this with new eyes now that we've shared this information with you. Watch what's going on with 3i Atlas. I wouldn't be too worried about the aliens, but I don't know what to think about that part of it. But my dad didn't see that either. What he did see was a new source of energy. So remember, a new source of energy, double, the 2 crowns, the 2 leaves, and it connected to a death to debt and a new energy. Multiple new energies. You heard what he said about the dirt in there as well. And so we thank you so much for joining us today. Come over to our partnership. Like I said, come and partner with us and join us in the continuation of this conversation. And we will see you next week on Analysis. Thank you. Hello, friends. I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside. We have Andrew Sorcini from Beverly Hills Precious Metals with us today. If someone has a 401k, can they take some of that and purchase gold as an investment for their future?
They can, and it's a great way to do it, because if you have an IRA, a government TSP account, a 401k from a company that you used to work at but don't work at anymore, or you still work at the company and you're over 59 and a half, these can be rolled over into a precious metals IRA. And if you were to speak to your financial advisor about it, they'll tell you, oh, this is a taxable event. They'll tell you things like gold and silver are volatile. But really, the thing is, they don't want you to get into precious metals because it doesn't benefit them monetarily. I'm here to tell you that your accounts can be rolled into a precious metals IRA without it being a taxable event. You would own real gold and silver that is stored in a third-party depository that's insured in a lockbox with your name on it.
So if someone goes to bh-pm.com, is that the correct website? Okay, and that's going to be on the bottom of the screen. If they go there today, what do they need to do?
Okay, so there's an online form there, and the form, almost every page on the website has the online form. So you just fill in your first name, last name, email address, telephone number, say that Kim Clement sent you, or the House of Destiny. We'll know what you mean. And in the notes section, be as detailed as you can. Sometimes people put things in there like, I'm a complete novice. I really don't understand precious metals. I've been wanting to understand. I want to invest, but really, I need more information first. Then put that in there. If you're someone that's been investing in gold and silver for years and really don't need a consultation, you just want to check prices, then put that in there.
Everybody watching, if you are interested in precious metals, this is where you want to go. Thanks again.
Thank you.